town you never heard of. Hey everybody, welcome to the Common Folk Podcast with Ben, Morgan, and Andy.
Welcome to Common Folk.
What do I always say? The podcast for the people, by the people.
That's right.
You know, all the people. So,
Yeah.
And we got more people today.
We do.
Yes.
Yes.
Got a guest back on.
I know. This is exciting.
Yeah, it is.
She's something special.
I told you I was excited about this one.
I know.
I've
you
been
did.
trying to get one
Well,
of
you
these
kind of
together.
know her too, so it's kind of weird, right? Like, I guess
Kind
small
of.
town.
My wife knows her way better than I do.
Yeah.
I knew of her because every once in a while I'd be like, look at this post. She's actually over there doing this. I'm like, who's that? I don't know. You should know her. Okay, geez. Okay. I'll get to know her here today.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Well, we just got back from a trip, so we're kind of like, today was I don't want to say a rough day back to work, but what about for you, Ben?
Yeah, yes. I mean, we got back late Saturday. Today is
I
Monday.
even said Sunday. Yeah.
And yesterday was rougher.
Yeah, the unpacking from a long
Well,
trip, like we packed up.
You guys took a whole bunch of stuff. I mean
we're talking
vehicles,
about,
all sorts of things.
Four-wheeler,
The toys,
dirt bike.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Big old trailer.
You need like a vacation from your vacation.
I know. It's so
Yeah.
funny. Someone had said this, and I never actually, it was my chiropractor. She's like, there's a difference between a vacation and a trip. You were going on a trip. And I was like, I've never heard that before. She's
Yep.
like, because a vacation is you get on a flight, you have your feet in the sand, or like, there's not a ton of work.
It's leisurely. You're taking
Yeah.
it easy.
I'm like, dang, we totally went on a trip.
Yeah. I like trips, though. They're fun.
It is.
I mean, I went to a wedding in Mexico not too long ago. Yeah. And, I mean, you spend 2 days on the beach and ordering, pina coladas and stuff, and I got bored. Like, I get bored quick with that. So
Okay, so
I
you wanted to do something
give me a little
else.
adventure, let me fumble around a little bit.
You guys didn't like go on a hike or like go
No.
on,
We
did nothing?
We didn't do any excursions. No.
Okay.
Which I was officiating the wedding. Yeah, I got ordained.
I was going to say you had
What?
to.
I'm a
what?
priest now.
Wait,
when was
why
this?
didn't you tell us
Yeah.
this?
Yeah, what? You got somebody you want me to marry?
I don't know. Maybe
My
I'll
fees are
find
skyrocketing
somebody.
right now. Inflation.
I was going to say,
Everybody's
what
going-
do you charge? Is this an online thing that you just do?
I told the husband and they asked me if I'd do it, and I said, yeah, as long as I don't have to do anything. And so, like, they went and did all the paperwork. I just had to give my ID and all this other stuff.
Okay.
And so, yeah, my niece actually figured it all out and got it done.
So it must not be that hard.
I think it's
Okay.
pretty easy. My husband got ordained too.
There you go. Like a couple $100. Yeah.
For what? For a friend's wedding?
It was actually one of my former students. We did their premarital and kind of helped him out with premarital. And I was Fellowship of Christian Athletes sponsor, and she was one of my student athletes, kind of all the way through that.
Oh, okay.
And so she's always wanted us involved in the wedding, and she's kind of like another daughter to us. And so she just went up to Tyler and goes, "Can you officiate?" He goes, "I'll have to look that up." And he goes, "Lucky for me, it took like 5 minutes online."
Oh.
There you go.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's pretty
perfect.
easy, I think.
Yeah.
What can you do with it besides that?
Oh, well, I can do all sorts of services, weddings, funerals, whatever you name
Funerals,
it.
too.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I mean, I don't plan on it. I was planning on that one wedding, and that is.
Does it expire? Like,
I don't know. I haven't looked
this-
twice at any of the paperwork. I signed it like
is this
three.
like your passport in 10
I signed
years?
it like 3 times where I was supposed to, and that's all I know.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Ben's like brains, I can just tell. You're just like trying to figure out.
I'm gonna have to get like a price list together now. Gonna have a common folk wedding over here.
Yeah.
I know.
Get your guy.
I'm going to have to think what we could use that for.
We will renew you guys' vows because you guys are going stronger now than ever.
Right.
You
I mean,
know?
next year will be 20.
Yeah.
Oh.
There we go.
Yeah.
Boom.
Bang, bang, boom.
Jeez.
All
We
right.
could just
20 years.
renew them right outside on the.
So Morgan,
farm.
we heard the voice. Who did you bring in here today?
Yes. So this is Christina Elder. I would say that we kind of know each other. Back in the day when we lived in a different town, we worked out together at Orange Theory. So just, of course, as social media is, we stayed friends, and I thought she'd be perfect for the podcast. And she lives real close and is a teacher, is a mom, all the things, and does some, and you're a coach, right?
Yep.
All the stuff. So I just thought it would be amazing to talk to somebody that, like we talk about, that is local but does like extraordinary things
Right.
that most people don't get to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you just competed overseas, right?
Yep, I was in Poland a couple months ago.
It's crazy.
Amazing experience. Yeah.
So keeping with the common folk theme, I mean, these are just everyday folks. You know, some of the most common folks on the planet that are in the car next to you when you're driving down the road, or at the same restaurant you go to, whatever the case may be. And there's a lot of cool stuff going on out there. So, like Morgan said, we wanted to chat about that. Kind of who you are, how you became who you are, what your accomplishments have been, and what you're doing today, just kind of in a nutshell there. So I think if we were to start to introduce everyone to Christina, let's talk about, first of all, just real high level what you do today, and then let's bounce back to how you grew up and kind of what that looked like.
All right, yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's amazing being here with you guys, and I'm all about the common folk, small town. I'm a Nebraska girl through and through, so it really means a lot. These are the type of podcasts that I like to do. So as of right now, I'm competing elite masters track and field, and so I would say I'm more of a long sprinter, which is kind of hard. I'm like not really middle distance, and I'm not a sprinter. I'm kind of right in the middle. So I specialize in the 400 and the 800 meters. And I'm also a teacher. I'm a mom of 3. I've got 3 little kids, and I'm a coach. I'm a head track and field coach at Platteview High School. I'm obviously a wife. So I have a lot of things that I'm juggling. I have a lot of different hats that I wear, but that's honestly how I love life that way. I love being busy. I love having goals, and I like having different things that I'm focusing on. I guess that's kind of me in a nutshell. I won a bronze medal in Poland at World Masters Athletic Championships. And so that's kind of like the pinnacle of our sport is the World Championships. And so there's athletes from hundreds of different countries that all come to one championship. And so that was just the experience alone was amazing. And trained really hard for a year and came back with a bronze medal individually in the 800. And so standing on that podium was pretty life-changing. And then I also won a gold medal as part of a relay team while I was over that as well.
I remember watching that race when it was posted like on Facebook. I was like, oh my god.
There's nothing quite like your national anthem being played
I bet. Yeah.
Turin, Poland in front of a bunch of foreign people. It was pretty cool. Yeah.
So I think for a lot of people listening, when you get into specific things like that sport, people don't understand like all the different categories and levels and so on and so forth.
Yep.
What people kind of understand in general is like the Olympics. You think about track and field, you think about the Olympics. How does that kind of compare to that, just to give people perspective?
Yeah, that's a great question, because that is one thing, like even when Omaha Magazine did an article about me going to Poland, they were like, get ready for the Olympics. I'm like, it's not the Olympics. Like, it is a very different thing. And probably the best way to explain that is the Olympics is your top 3, in terms of track and field in the Olympics, is your top 3 from each country, like just in general. So in the 800 meters, it's your 3 fastest women out of all age groups in your country that get to go represent.
Okay.
So they place top 3 in the Olympic trials, they earn their spot, and then they go to the Olympics. For World Masters Track and Field, everything is age group based. And so you're only competing in your age group. So I am only competing against women that are 35 to 39. And so you get like in the 800, it's, that's who you're competing against. You don't have a 25-year-old in that age group.
Sure.
Like it's very age group based, and it's just track and field. Whereas the Olympics is your pinnacle of all the Olympic sports in one spot.
In all ages?
In all ages. So you could have a girl, that's 19 representing the U.S. in the 800, and you could have a woman that's 31. It's just if you are the best, you're the best. Like it's the best of the best, no matter what age you are. So that's the cool. Like the Olympians are literally the best of the best in our country. Yeah. So it's pretty incredible. So yeah, I was just representing within my age group, and representing the United States for the 35 to 39-year-olds.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
But to wear the jersey that says USA, I mean,
Amazing. It was seriously amazing to be on Team USA. And then being over there at Worlds, we all kind of stayed together as a team. We had our own athletic trainers. We had our own directors there. And just supporting each other, being a team, because honestly, track is so individual. And so on like a national level, when I go to nationals, I'm competing against everybody else. Like I'm just focused on myself. But going to a place like Worlds, we are a team. Like we truly feel like we're a team, and we're helping each other out, cheering each other on. And it's just like a totally different experience. Yeah, it's amazing.
Is that the highest level of competition that you've ever competed in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Hands down.
So how do you, I guess my question was, get there to qualify to go to Worlds?
Yeah. So,
I mean, you have to do all these other meets and be top.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So the cool thing is Team USA actually will give us stipends if we're a medal contender. And so they think, okay, your time is fast enough that you really could fight for a medal over there representing us. They give you stipends to travel, which is really nice to go represent the U.S. They provide us uniforms. They provide us warm-ups.
Wow.
That kind of thing. And then obviously travel stipends if you are a medal contender to get over there. So throughout the year, it's kind of interesting. I prefer to run in college meets because I get really good competition with the collegiate athletes. And so I'll run it like Nebraska against like the Big Ten girls.
Okay.
Track's really unique where you can do that. Like a lot of meets will be invitationals or open meets. And so you can have a professional running against a collegiate. Which
Okay,
is
so
really
they just
interesting.
let you.
They just let me in. And the nice thing is getting to know a lot of these local coaches, like even the ones at the smaller schools. They know who I am, and we have a great relationship. And so I'm like, hey, just so I don't have to travel to Atlanta or, you know, to California to compete in a meet, I'd way rather stay here for most of my meets to get good marks. And then when I have to do traveling, I'd rather it be nationals or worlds. Just being a mom and having a job, it's really hard for me to just take off and travel everywhere. And so I'll stay here throughout the year and just compete in collegiate meets, which is really nice. And it's super fun. And I've kind of bonded with a lot of those college girls too, which is cool.
I
So
bet.
they call me mom.
I was, they probably love it.
So with that being said, let's rewind. Like we were talking about, where did you grow up? How did you grow up? What was your life like as a kid?
Well, I had an awesome life. I grew up here in Nebraska. I was actually born in Kansas City. My parents are from a small town here in Nebraska, and so they always wanted to move back. And we moved back here when I was 4, and my parents built a house in Millard, and they still live there to this day. And so I grew up, you know, actually as a soccer player. I have a brother and a sister, so we were a family of 5. We were very active athletes and involved in a lot of different sports. But my big love as a child was actually soccer. So I played soccer starting at age 9 all the way through college. And that was like the only thing I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so I was really, really focused on it. Didn't play any other sports at all. Like I just wanted to be a soccer player. Like I was really inspired by like the 99 Women's World Cup team. With Mia Hamm was like my idol, you know? And so I was like, I'm going to be like, I want to play for Team USA. Like I want to be at the highest level. And I've just always been really driven like that, weirdly. Like my parents will always ask. My mom's like, I have no idea where you get it from. Like, how are you so like just driven? You can never turn it off. And I've always been that way since I was a kid. Like even in PE class, like at the pacer test, everyone's like, oh, it's the pacer test. Do you guys remember that? Aerobic capacity test, the beep test. And everyone hates it.
I was just going to say the beeper. Yeah. And
everyone's
you're excited.
like, oh no, it's pacer test day. And I'm like inside, I'm like, yes, I'm so excited. And like I knew something was different about me, like with those moments. And that was like 4th or 5th grade. And my mom will never forget it. She had to come pick me up from school because I ran the pacer test so hard because I wanted to beat a boy. Like it was me and a boy left. And I pushed myself so hard that I passed out. So my mom had to come pick me up from school.
Oh my
because
God.
I pushed myself so hard. And so she's like, I just don't understand you. Like, you can just turn it off. It's okay. I'm like, I've always been driven. And so in soccer, growing up too, that was another thing I kind of started to notice about myself, that my favorite part of practice was conditioning. I'm like, that's not normal. And I've always just like been kind of a sled dog. Like I just like to work really hard. I don't really like the technical stuff. Like I want to spend 2 hours working on passing. Like, I just want to run, you know?
Yeah.
And so I probably should have figured it out younger that I was meant to just be a track athlete where you can just let me go and let me go run. And so, yeah, I've always just kind of been that sled dog and going through, you know, I played soccer at Millard West and absolutely loved it. And then got, you know, fortunate enough to have a scholarship offer at Wayne State to play soccer. And I still just loved the sport. I loved playing the games and so went there. And I remember the track coach at Wayne State, he'd come to the soccer games because it's just a really supportive community up there. And he'd come to the games and he came up to me. He's like, hey, you're super fast. Like, have you ever ran track? And I was like, well, I actually ran it in middle school and I was pretty good at it. And, you know, I love doing running and PE and stuff. And he's like, you know, you should try it. It's like, all right. Because it was a different season than soccer, whereas in high school, they obviously conflict and you can't do both in Nebraska. And so he put me in lane 1 in a college meet. Like, I had never run high school, nothing. Put me in lane 1 in the 400 meter. I had no idea how to use blocks. He was just like, it's fine, just run it, see what you can do. And won it and ran like a 58. And he was like, you're running track. And so luckily he was kind enough to give me a scholarship and really believe in me. And, you know, and then another year or two of work, I ended up graduating a 2-time All-American in the 400.
Wow.
So
When we lived in Tennessee, the seasons were different. And our older daughter did track because she was a big soccer girl. And I was always really excited about that.
Love it.
because it was
was
those same
opposite.
skills, and she was so fast too. So I loved seeing her do that.
But here
track.
in Nebraska, it is the same season. You had to
is.
pick,
Yeah.
and I remember doing track in
Yeah.
high school and not soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
What position did you play in soccer?
I was so we played like a flat back 4 in high school and in college. So I was an outside. I was right outside defender, like a flank kind of. I just love to run. I love to run up and run back and try to catch people. And
I would have guessed, that if
mid.
with your speed and what you are as far as like that running, that you'd have either been like an outside mid or a striker.
Yep. Yeah, I would just told my coach, I'm like, just put me where I can run. The funny thing is I didn't really like being a striker. Like, they tried, but for some reason I would rather see the whole field in front of me. And so I like to be able to, like, if I knew a ball was being passed to a forward, I like to, like, run really fast and, like, intercept the ball from her or something. Like, whereas the other way around, I was like, I just didn't like the ball behind me and, like, trying to read it that way. And so for some reason, like, striking was just not, I didn't really want to do it. And I'm like, I'd just rather be aggressive and be a defender and do as much running as possible. So,
Well, you are different, and different in a good way. Different's good, right?
Yeah. You don't hear that much.
no.
And for those that don't know, the 400 and the 800 are the worst races on the planet. Because,
True.
it's not long distance, so you can't just get into a stride. And it's not a sprint where, 20 seconds later, it's over. No, I ran a lot of track in high school and medaled and all that good stuff at state. But I hated it. I just did it because we could compete and we could win, and I loved winning. I did it to win.
Yep.
But my chest felt like it was going to explode. We're all over on the side, almost dry heaving. Oh my God, I hated that
That's
stuff. And we
awful.
were collecting medals, so we were winning. So everything was fun except for the 2 minutes after the race. You know what I mean?
True. It's so true. Most of the athletes that I coach are the same way. Like, I had a really good 400-meter athlete boy who broke 49 seconds this year, broke our school record.
Wow.
And I was trying to convince him to do college track, and he's like, Mrs. Elder, he goes, I know I'm good at it, but I just hate it so much. The same
There we
thing.
go.
He's like, it's just so hard because it's a whole new thing because it's like beforehand you're so nervous you feel like you're going to throw up. During the race it hurts, and then after the race you're still in pain. Like, there's
Really
really
hurts.
not.
Yeah.
But
It's
for
kind
some
of like,
reason,
why are you even doing this?
I know, and I think something about. It's like the 4 and the 8 are so people don't want to do it but it's just like those are the distances I'm gifted at. And I'm like, I wish I could be like super good at long jump or like the 100-meter dash and like not be in any pain. But it's like the Lord and I have a lot of conversations of, okay, why am I a lactic athlete? Like, why did you give me this gift? But I think I kind of love it too because it's the stuff that people don't want to do. And I'm like, I want to do the stuff that people don't want to
That's
do.
awesome.
And I
Yeah.
want to push myself. So, yeah.
And we always, I don't know if you guys are out for track. You mentioned you were,
Yeah,
but
I did the 400.
Yeah.
Went to state too.
God, I'm surrounded by psychos here. But we always made fun of them, but we always secretly, admired them. But it was the sprinters, and they'd be wearing the new Oakleys and chains and all this other stuff, and they were doing something that you can't. They could run 100 meters in 10 seconds or less, or 11 seconds or less, But I always just remember just the dynamics at track meets. It was a lot of fun, now I look back at it, but man, I hated that.
It is true when you said that. And
After
I kind of
the race.
forgot about the before, how nervous you are. I
The
just so
nerves.
remember that.
They're real.
And I can't imagine on the scale that you're at. So we're talking about like state, in high school, but
And you must get just such a high level of satisfaction, from that, not only the medal, but the grind. You enjoy that part of it. And for me, I don't know anything about soccer. So striker, diker, liker, I don't know what any of this stuff means. Middle infielder. No, that's baseball. But I do know I play a lot of baseball and I like baseball. For me, I like the actual, like what you're talking, batting practice, the technical side. And I just remember we were facing off against this one elite pitcher, and he had a nasty curveball, and he's just striking people out. And I finally was able to hone in on it, follow it with my eyes, and smack that thing out of the infield, line drive on his curveball.
Yeah.
Like, that was a level of satisfaction for me.
Yep.
But, everyone's different. So I'm not saying, like, different's bad. It's just different folks, different strokes,
Just
right?
interesting. Yeah, I know. It's funny that you say that. My husband's a really technical person too. He was a really good punter actually in college.
Wow.
And so he's all a technique guy. And I'm finding out my oldest daughter is too. 'Cause she
Really?
just she'll go out and run. She's like, Mom, I hate running. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna have to accept it. She can hate running. Like, it's fine. She's not gonna be me. But yeah, he loves all the technical stuff and breaking stuff down. Whereas I'm like, just let me go run. Like, I don't want to think. I just want to push.
Does that create a really good balance for you guys? Like, as a marriage?
It is, for sure.
I would think so.
Yeah, it is. Because he loves, like, watching me compete. He's the best supporter in the whole world. Like, I have some really cool pictures that a professional photographer got, like, while I'm running the 8. Like, he's just screaming. Like, and just, like, and he was the first person to, like, reach down, like, when they gave me the American flag, and he's, like, holding my hand.
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh, it was the coolest thing ever. And he's so supportive. But yeah, he, at the same time, he's like, why would you, like, go do 6 300s at 800 pace for your workout for the day? He just wants to go, like, throw some weight around,
Right.
And I'm like, no, I'm going to go do 6 300s. Like, who would ever want to, like, nobody. But I think when I'm out there and I'm by myself and it's my me time and I'm, like, going to that dark place where it just hurts, like, I think I just, like, learn more about myself every time I do that. And I just, like, get a dig really deep. And then when I'm on the line for competition, you just think back to the months of hard work you did, and you're like, okay, now's the fun part. Like, you just got to go, compete.
I want to skip around a little bit here, because that sounds phenomenal, and, like, that's more fortitude than I would ever have for anything, really. But how do you scale that back? Because you're also a track coach, and you have to understand that most kids don't have that kind of drive or determination, most people. So how do you, like, crack a balance between making it fun but also making them competitive?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's relationship based, and I try to really get to know my kids. I enjoy building relationships, but there definitely is times where, I have a kid that, will miss practice or something, and I'm just like, why would you miss practice?
Yeah,
like, I'm like, just because I'm so driven, like, all the time. But I try to, like, take a step back and realize, like, that's not very normal. Like, the way I'm wired is not the way they're wired, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that they're not hard workers.
Yes.
But I just try to kind of pour into them and show them how much I care about them. And then it's amazing when they know you care, they're willing to work hard. Definitely women, definitely girls.
For sure.
And
Oh, gosh, that's so
when
true.
they know that I have their back no matter what, and I'm so proud of them no matter what, like, it's amazing the work you can get out of them just because they have, an adult role model that was going to be proud of them no matter what. And so I feel like that angle, you'd be amazed at how much, like, they show up every day to work hard just because they know you care.
Yeah,
It's
they
pretty
don't want to
incredible.
disappoint. They don't want to disappoint
Yeah.
you,
They want to work hard.
They're role models.
Kind of for
Yeah.
you, but in
Yep.
turn it's for them.
Yep.
I think that's a big reason why super talented athletes and uber-driven people are poor coaches. Because, like, Michael Jordan coaching a kid in basketball, well, make the shot. Go dunk it. Dunk it over that guy.
Right,
I can't jump that high, okay?
Yeah, it is. It's a different, like, I truly tell, because people ask me all the time, they're like, do you hop in with workouts with your kids? I'm like, absolutely not. Like, I can't, because my athlete hat and my coach hat are very different. And so when I'm in athlete mode, I'm like a totally different person. Like, I'm just like dialed in. I don't want to be distracted. I can't handle people goofing off or like what. It's like I am dialed in at that time. And so when I'm a coach, I know that that's not best for the kids. And so I'll never work out with them. I always work out separately. And then when I'm coaching them, I can just focus on them and be the coach that they need. And then my athlete piece of me doesn't show up as much. Like if I already got my workout in, got my training in, that I don't feel like I'm, like getting frustrated with them, wanting to quit on a rep or something like that. I'm just like, okay, there's might be something else going on. Like I just need to talk to them and, and I don't get as frustrated than if I try to be, I'm going to hop in and reps with them. And plus I never want them to feel like I'm competing with them, because that's not
I could just see
what I'm
though
doing.
some guys being like, "Oh, you want to race?"
Oh, it happens. It happens all the time.
Okay.
Actually, more so with just like my regular students.
Okay.
Than it does.
Oh, then on the track team, and you're like, "Come out for track,
Oh, I've
bro."
got so many boys that like they'll just be like, "Miss Elder, when are we gonna race?" I'm like, "Whenever you want, man. Like let's go." Like,
After school.
Yeah, they say, and then they're just always like, "Just kidding." Like they don't actually want to race me. Like they just talk, but it cracks me up. But
I think that competition with the kids is a good thing, because I remember growing up playing. I was a soccer player as well, and I remember the number of coaches that I had that I would look at these guys and be like, "This dude couldn't even dream of doing what he's asking me to do now."
For sure.
And never could have, never did. And I didn't have respect for them because of that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And I feel like a lot of the kids, they know the work I put in because I train at Platteview. And so usually I train over the lunch hour, and a lot of them will come out there just be like, "Hi, Mrs. Elder," or like watch me train for a little bit. So they know the work I'm putting in. And so I think there's like a respect there, even though I'm not running with them. Like they know that, oh my gosh, Mrs. Elder just did, like she was almost throwing up after her workout today. Like, so, it's like she can do it, like, so can I. And so I think it gives them some encouragement to know that,
She's actually doing it
right.
too.
And same with being a PE teacher. It's the same thing. It's like you have so many super out of shape PE teachers like, "Go run."
I always thought about Kansas's old football coach, Mangino. Like, I couldn't get over that. The dude's bigger than this table. He's like a walking sphere.
Yeah.
And how can you yell at, 19, 23-year-old boys?
Yeah.
I wouldn't take that guy serious no matter what.
You think
if I was playing for him.
respect problem for sure.
Did with your drive and like you said, your parents were like, "I don't know where it came from," whatever. Were you the oldest child?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Of course, right?
Yes, of course. I have a typical oldest child personality. My dad was an incredible athlete. He was really fast, and my mom was good too. Like she was an 800 runner. My dad was more of a sprinter. And then my brother and sister both ran college track too. So they're more 100 meter, 200 meter, long jump. So they're pretty, but yeah, they just, my brother's pretty like mentally driven, but my sister is just like super talented. And she's just like, man, like, why would I run that far? Like, I would never run that far. Like, she's like that person.
She's the middle one?
She's very
second?
logical. She's the youngest.
Oh, the youngest.
Yeah, she's the youngest. My brother's the middle, and he's very driven, like, kind of quiet, hard worker. And so the three of us, we're all very different. Like, we have gifted athletic abilities, but yeah, all of them are just like, "Okay, Christina, like, they've just accepted that it's just who I am and I can't shut it off." And they're like, "I can't believe it. Like, you're still running so fast after 3 kids." And she just keeps going. I'm like, I'm going to go till I can't anymore.
Right.
So,
Do they all live in town locally?
they live locally. My brother and sister both live in Ashland.
Oh, good.
So it's just really nice.
Yeah.
So they kind of moved out of the city as well. So they're just, hop skipping away, which is nice because we're all really close. And then my parents live in Millard. And so it's nice to have family around because, we're a pretty close-knit family.
Right.
So I was wondering, when you were talking about like the tech side of things and that you're not really into that and you just want to go, how has that played into, your success and your training? I mean, there has to be some kind of technical training with this sport, right? Like, kind of how the stride works, or I don't know what.
For
I mean,
sure.
some of those things are coming into play, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have two really good coaches. I have my strength and conditioning coach. He's actually just got the award for Nebraska Strength Coach of the Year. So he's Plattview's strength coach.
Nice.
So he writes all
Nice.
my strength training. And I'm one of those people where I know what I need to do, but if I have someone writing it out in detail and telling me to do it, then I don't have to think about that part, the programming. And so that's kind of that technical piece that I don't like to do. And so my coaches write it out and I just do it. And I believe in their system and how they have everything structured, definitely from the strength side, because that side I don't really understand the technical stuff as much. I just trust his programming. And then my running coach is my husband's best friend, actually, and he's a college coach down in Kansas. He's the head coach at a college, and he was the best man at our wedding and everything too. So it's nice because he's like my brother. And so I can just tell him anything too.
Yeah.
And he knows me super well. And so with the programming, definitely for an older athlete, getting close to 36, it just looks different than like a 22-year-old's training. It just does. Like we have to pay a lot more attention to, like some of the drill work and the technique and that kind of thing to really make sure that my joints are strong and I'm just strong all around and more resilient. And so a lot of it's, instead of a lot of volume, it's like intensity. And so I have like pretty short practices, but they can be really intense. And working on those drills and like little things like that, like the high knees and the like the A skips, B skips, like all a bunch of running drills I do, almost every day.
But
just
you
for
hold
technique.
yourself accountable. Or
Yes.
is there like a check-in where
Yep.
you're like, all right, did this?
Yep.
Or what? I
Yep.
mean, it sounds like you wouldn't be not doing it.
Yeah,
but
I'm pretty coachable. Like
Okay.
that's the nice, that's what my coaches say all the time. They're like, you're like the easiest athlete to coach. Like you're going to do it. Like we
Yes.
know you're going to do it. And so I don't really, even though I'm by myself, they trust me and I'll do film, like I'll record myself running and for form purposes. And then my strength coach is there, so he can watch a lot of stuff. But my running coach, I know what he's trying to explain to me, even though if it's just on the phone or through a text message or programming or whatever, like I'm like, nope, I know this is what he wants.
Okay.
And so I'll just check in with him after every workout. In terms of a lot of it's just splits, like, so I ran 150 meters in this time or, just kind of where it's at. But yeah, there is technique. I wouldn't say it's a lot of the technique is your like 100-meter dash, 200-meter dash, which I'll still run some 200s and stuff just to work on speed. But the 400 and the 800 is just a lot of grit. It's a lot of mental aspect of it. And it's just getting those hard reps in at like a lactic, just pushing like literally to that, that red lining, basically. Like my body's so full of lactic, I feel like I'm going to fall over, like hitting those kind of workouts,
God.
That's a lot of it, honestly. So there's not a ton of technical to it, I don't feel like. But
It's interesting to
Yeah.
me when you said that you had to work out different than a 22-year-old, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But what is that? I mean, what is like you said, it's more of the joints? Or like, what is the difference? So what you said they would be doing longer workouts and you're doing shorter?
Yeah,
I mean, is there a
sometimes.
huge difference?
Yeah, like
Okay.
it kind of depends on the athlete, I think. That's why it's so important to have a coach that knows their athlete. Running's so interesting like that because everyone, like you can kind of tell, like if I were to have a really high volume week, because I kind of did the 1500 and the mile for a while as well, which was working for a while. And then once I started really focusing back on strength training, I feel like all my fast twitch fibers kind of came back after I had my kids. And so that mile just got harder and harder because I'm just not an aerobic athlete. Aerobic stuff is really hard for me. And so I would just notice, like, if my mileage was a little bit higher, I just felt dead, like super dead. I felt slow. I didn't feel like I was poppy. Like when I'm sprinting, I just kind of felt like my legs were cement. And so I would just write everything down, tell Coach Yoder, he's like, okay, we'll make some tweaks. And then we've just kind of adjusted training over the last 3 years. And we kind of found like a good sweet spot for me that my body really likes. And I think it's just kind of testing it out and seeing like how your body responds. That's why it's so important. I always write down how I'm feeling every day after a workout, like felt flat today, felt good today. These were my times, or I didn't hit my times. What do you think the reason is? Maybe I didn't get enough sleep. And so as an older athlete, it's sleep And so I have to sleep 8 to 9 hours, like no less. It's nutrition
Yeah.
for recovery. And it's like those little things, you know, and then like mobility stuff. Like at night, I'll do 5 to 10 minutes of mobility before I go to bed, just like making sure I'm like flexible and moving and then sleep. And so whereas I was in college, I would like literally show up to a workout and like strap my shoes on and like maybe like half-ass my warm-up and just hop in, you know, and it's like, oh, it's fine, but if I do that now,
No way.
I will tear every muscle in my legs. Like my warm-ups are 35 minutes long. My warm-ups are like longer than my workouts generally.
Really?
So yeah.
Okay.
What do you, with those things that you're talking about, like if you had to list off maybe like 3 or 5 things, like individual things that you would say are the keys to, you know, your current success. So, you know, you talked about like sleep, you talked about your diet, you know, you talked about these kinds of things. Would that be easy enough for you to answer? Like what would be those 3 to 5 things that you would recommend people that here's what I primarily focus on that works for me?
I would say discipline is probably the first. And so if I did every day based off of motivation, like I would maybe show up twice a week. So there's still days, and I love what I do, and there's still days where like, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to go run 600s or 300s or whatever, but it's just a discipline of like, you got to go do it. Just go there. And usually once I get to the track or once I start, like, I'm happy to be there. It's just the discipline aspect of like fitting it into my day, where if that means I'm up at 5 a.m. and I got to be to the track at 6, like, I'm fitting it in. Like, I know I have a busy day today, but I'm going to fit it in somewhere. And so I would say discipline and consistency is number one. And just staying consistent. I think I've been really consistent with my training now for ever since my son was born. So 3 years. And I've been so healthy this whole year, like mentally and physically. So I don't feel burnout mentally. Like I still love what I'm doing and I'm still excited to race. And then physically, I just feel really good. So I don't feel burnout on either course. And I think a lot of that is consistency and discipline. And then I would for sure say sleep. And that's even for younger athletes. I think that's one thing like my high school kids are just horrible at.
Yeah.
And they wonder why they feel like crap. But there's so much research showing that, you know, that human growth hormone is released while we're sleeping. It's literally the repairing time for our body and our mind. And so I've been a lot more I'm like, I will not get less than 8 hours. And if I do, it's because a kid wakes up, you know, mommy, like sick in the middle of the night or something, which it happens.
Yeah.
And I just kind of like adjust based on that. So if I know I got a poor night's sleep, the next day, maybe I'll change my workout. You know, be like, I know I probably shouldn't try to hammer out a super hard workout today if my body's just not going to feel great. So I'm just really smart about making adjustments too. That was one thing in college. I was like, no, it's Tuesday. I have to do this workout today. Now as an adult, I'm just a lot wiser and I know my body. And so if I know like, hey, it's Tuesday, I'm supposed to do this, but I got a bad night's sleep, I don't feel good, something's off, then I'm going to make an adjustment. I'm going to tell my coach that we need to make an adjustment, and we do. And I feel like that's given me a lot of longevity.
Okay.
It's just being able to adjust and not being... You know, unfortunately, a lot of us athletes are very type A. And so changing things is not easy.
Yeah.
And I always feel guilty about it or like I'm missing out on something. Like it's just like who I am. But I feel like I've really dialed it down and I've learned over time. Like last week, I got strep throat. Like, so I didn't work out for a whole week. And this week, today was my first day back sprinting, and I felt super fast. And I'm like, there we go. Like, maybe I just needed a whole week of rest.
There you go. Yeah.
And like, so it's a blessing in disguise. Whereas in college, I would have freaked out. I'd been like, it is a week before nationals, and I have strep throat, and I'm not running. Like, I would have freaked out, and then it would have got me in a bad spot mentally. But I just wrote it out. And my coach said, he goes, sometimes God just forces you to rest if you're not willing to rest yourself. And then lo and behold, today, it's like I get out, put my spikes on. I felt super fast. So I'm like, yep, everything's fine. Like, I'm not out of shape. It's fine. Everything's fine. And I would have freaked out when I was younger. So I feel like age is a good thing. Like, I feel like a lot more of a mature athlete. Yeah. And then nutrition is another one too. That I feel is huge that a lot of people miss out on. Now it's, you know, I really look at food as fuel. Like I enjoy it too.
Yeah.
But like for me, in college, I would just be like, oh, I don't have time to eat. It's fine. Like, I'll just grab a bag of chips or something on the way. It's like, no, you just ran, you just lifted, you have to get protein in. You need the leucine for repairing. Like, definitely as a female athlete, like, there's a lot of things going on with hormones. And so I've just really tried to educate myself on what does my body need for me to fully recover and, like, really pay attention to that. And I'm grateful because, no injuries, nothing. Like, I feel really good, and I'm able to, and I think a lot of that is the small little attention to detail things.
It's gotta be.
Yeah.
So being a coach and a mother, right, and being all driven and very interesting, you brought up sleep a couple of times there, and you're seeing more and more of that. I think TB12, Tom Brady, and his regiment, he talks about sleep all the time.
Oh, he does.
And he credits that a lot to his longevity in playing football.
Okay.
How bad or how outraged are you? Because you talk about, especially the boys miss out on sleep, high school kids. And you have a combination that I don't think is beatable, and that is Mountain Dew, Game Fuel, grape flavored, whatever, COD, COD, Call of Duty, keeping kids up all night, playing video games. All these things that are the worst. You just described the good. That is the worst, all just right in one. Keeping kids up, draining their brain power, not allowing them to sleep. Like, as a mom and a coach and all those things, I mean, how bad is that?
Oh, it's really bad. I'm actually the health teacher too. So I have kids that come into my classroom first hour, and you can just tell they like went to bed at 3, and they come walking in my classroom with a massive energy drink and cereal or something. I'm just like, nope. You can't eat that in here. Like, I just tell them, I'm like, you can't eat that in here. And they're like, why? I'm like, it's not protein, so it's nothing good for your brain. So right now you're super tired, so you're going to sugar spike yourself, and then you're going to in my class. Like, you're just going to, like, you have no focus. But I think a lot of it is, like, just an overall cultural problem, because we have, like, this junk food that, because I was bad in high school too. Like, I don't know about you guys. Like, I did not eat the greatest, but they're like, well, it's sold as food, so it's food and it tastes good. And so they're not really looking at the complexity of the whole thing. Whereas I look at it so much now as fuel. It's like, you are fueling yourself terribly right now. Like, how are you going to get through 8 hours of school? You have practice after school, and you have had no protein. Like, I'll even ask them, like, what is a protein? They're like, oh, they don't even know. It's just like everything they eat is sugar, carb. Yeah. And then a teenager should not be drinking an energy drink, like 100% no. And so I'll just kind of try to educate them. And I do like hardcore nutrition in my class. And so I just want to teach them the basics of, like, this is a protein, this is a carb, this is a fat, and this is what you need for your body. Like, you guys are growing, and plus your sports. A lot of our serious athletes, like, they'll actually listen and be like, oh, can you tell me, like, what should I do? Like, what should I eat? And so I'll tell them, I'm like, just keep it super basic and keep it to, whole foods, and apple is an apple.
Something
steak
that's
is
not
a steak.
in a box. Yeah, something that doesn't come out of a box.
Yeah. Yep.
I love this conversation. I really get into this.
For sure. Excuse me. And what I was thinking about, like, because we're at like 40 minutes, what do you guys think about doing, like, just if we've got time to do a separate one, 20, 30 minutes on just some of this nutrition stuff?
Okay, I'm game.
I would love that.
Yeah, let's do that. So let's move on from that for now. What else did you have that you were wanting to ask that was outside of, like, diet and food and stuff?
Yeah, so teaching. You said you are a gym teacher and then health. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I didn't know if you had if you were a math teacher, or I thought it was gym.
Yep,
but
health and PE. It's the best. It's so much fun.
But is it junior high or high school?
It's both, actually.
Oh, you have both.
Yeah. So our junior high is on the same campus as the high school.
Okay.
Which I actually really love, because I'm the only health teacher in the district, and so they have to take Health 8 as 8th graders, and then they have to take it again their sophomore year in high school. And so I literally watch the kids grow up. So I teach, literally half high school, half junior high. So I have junior high PE and health, and then I have high school health and PE.
That's like our school out here at Conestoga.
Yep. We kind of have that shared campus, which I love, because I feel like the younger kids are around the older kids a lot. And so there's a cool, like, inspirational thing there in terms of, like, they get to be a part of the sports, and like it's just it's a good thing for them for sure.
Do you see with your kids, you said they were all geared a little bit different, but them being athletes, I mean, is that easy to see? Well, you said your son's 3. I mean, can you see that he wants to be like throwing a ball or kicking. I mean, just even at a young age, I just feel like I always thought we could.
Yeah.
With our kids.
For sure I can. Like, just like simple things. And then I'm really big. I just want my kids outside. You know, it's just like jump off the porch, you know, go run around in the grass. Like I want them outside, outdoors, like just getting dirty. And like I'm huge for that. And I wish I would have grown up on a little bit more land so I could have, you know, we were still outside all the time. But I want them outside and I'm huge too. And I think a lot of it's because I've seen really intense sports and I've been so intense my whole life, but it's never felt forced. But I don't want my kids to feel like they have to be super competitive right away. Like I'm like, you can just go outside and like come up with like a backyard game, like just for fun. And then you're being active, you're learning like teamwork, cooperation, like these simple skills that I want my children to be around, and I want them to be around sports. I just want to make sure that, you know, because mommy is so serious and mommy trains so hard, and mom's, you know, like I have to be like mom, like, because I don't want them to feel that way ever. Definitely because they're around track a lot, because I coach it and I run it. And so like with my oldest, she did her first little kids track, and honestly, she just didn't love it. And I told her, I was like, I want you to always be honest with me. And she is a technician. So she did gymnastics and now she's doing diving. And so she just loves technique and she's super athletic. But she would rather, you know, for me, I just crack up because she's like at 2-hour diving practice and you stand there, you do your dive, correct technique, stand there. I'm like, I would go nuts. I'm like, I need to be running, man. Like, I would go nuts. But she's so opposite of me. It. She just loves technical stuff and she loves soccer too. Yeah. So she does get some running in with soccer, but it's very like, because I want to play soccer. Like, I just don't want to like run.
But you probably won't want to be doing track. You can tell. Yeah.
Yeah. But she still likes like long jump. Like she likes the technical stuff. So I'm like, honey, you just do what you want to do. And I tell, and luckily she's so honest with me and she's not afraid of disappointing me when she tells me she doesn't like the 400-meter dash. You know, I was like, most people don't like the 400-meter dash. It's okay.
I'm on board with her. I like her a lot.
Andy was on board forever ago.
I was like, you don't have to do that. Like, I'm just excited to watch my kids excel in whatever they choose. I just want them, if they pick something, you commit to your team and you work hard. Like, that's all I ask. Yeah. But my son, I can already tell with him, like him and my middle child, my daughter who's 6, like they jump off the front porch and see who can jump the furthest. Like you can definitely tell there's like competitiveness ingrained, which I'm like, there's gotta be, because like my husband's super competitive too. And then I'm the way I am, but we just try to never force it. It's funny to watch it kind of blossom naturally in them. So it's fun to watch as a mom. I love it.
That's awesome.
One of the things I'm curious about is you've talked a little bit about like kind of living outside of the big city and how that's something that you wanted to do and that's been beneficial for you guys. Obviously, you grew up in the Millard area, which is pretty much in the thick of it. What do you see the differences there, and why do you gravitate towards that today?
I think a big thing is the community aspect of like a smaller town that I really loved. I mean, I had a great childhood. I loved the schools I went to, loved my high school, but it was just huge. You know, I graduated with, 400 plus, 500 kids, I think. And I just didn't know any different. And then I went up to college in Wayne, which is a really small community. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, it's like such a... it's so hard to explain. It's just got different vibes.
That was had to have been a culture shock for you.
It was a total
because I'm from
shock.
the Wayne area.
Yeah, it was. And just meeting everybody from smaller towns up there. And so I kind of got immersed into the like agricultural stuff and like that. I'm like, this is amazing. Like this is, and I told my parents, I'm like, why didn't you put me at a smaller school? She's like, I know. But because they grew up in a really small, so they went to Stromsburg High School. So really tiny. And both my parents, they were high school sweethearts. So, and so I just knew, I think once I went up to Wayne and kind of experienced that smaller community, like that's what I loved. And then when I moved back here, luckily there was a job opening at Platteview High School. And so I took that. And then once I got involved in the community, I'm like, this is exactly what I want. This is what I want for my kids. This is where I want to be. I know every single kid in the junior high and the high school. Every single kid.
Yeah, because you have to teach every single one.
Whereas when I graduated at Millard West, I vividly remember sitting there in my graduation gown and looking at people on the stage like, I've never seen that person before in my life. Like
Yeah.
I'm graduating with them. I've never seen them before.
Yep.
And so I think just this, that community aspect of Platteview, the whole town shows up for
Yeah.
basketball games, football games. And it was amazing. Like, I don't know if you saw on social, but the whole community did like a send off for me when I went to Poland. I was like, what? This is like, and my parents were just in awe. They're like, what an amazing community. Like they truly, we show up for each other no matter what it is. Like we're a family.
So your parents ran track for Stromsburg then, right?
Yep.
That was the rowdy school. At all of our track
You've talked about
I
a
am
rowdy
not
school
surprised.
before.
It's Stromsburg. Those guys. I mean, their tent had some fun, wild things going on. We're like, what are they doing in there?
So
They're having a lot of fun
we're
over
starting
there.
to put this picture together
Yeah.
on why she is the way she is.
Yes.
Yep.
No, my dad legit told me a story like 2 weeks ago. So they were dating in high school, my mom and my dad, and they were both on the track team. My dad like showed up late, like his coach had to come find him because he was sitting with my mom in like the school bus in the parking lot.
Oh gosh.
I know. They didn't tell me
making
they
out.
didn't tell me what was going on, but I'm like, you can spare me those details.
Yeah.
But the coach had to come get my dad and be like, Mark, get out there. You're supposed to be running. So he literally like ran, and he said he still had my mom's class ring on, like the necklace. And so he's running a 400 with the ring bouncing off his chest.
man.
And I think he said he won still. Like he was
Oh,
super
gosh.
fast.
That's
But
funny.
he like didn't warm up at all and like got on the track. And I'm like, Dad, come on, man.
Third
Like
call,
I was like-
400.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a Stromsburg story right there.
that's a
there
great
you go.
Stromsburg story.
Oh my gosh, that's so good.
So good.
So what does the rest of like the next few years look like for you? You just want to keep racing? Like what's the next goal?
Yeah.
Do you
I'm
think about that?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I'm very like goal oriented. I feel like now I'm pretty good about enjoying my downtime too. So I have nationals next week. This outdoor season's been kind of an experiment because I came off of an indoor worlds. And so there's indoor and outdoor track. So there's 2 different seasons for track. And so Worlds was actually indoors, which means it's a smaller track. It's a 200-meter track. And so you run, like for the 8, I have to run 4 laps.
Oh, yeah.
It's different, which I actually kind of like it more because the vibes are fun because it's inside of an arena and it's really loud and everyone's yelling and it's pretty cool.
Okay.
And it's banked, so the edges are banked. And so it's like, it's just fun. It's
Yeah.
just different. So we are obviously peaking for me to do really well at Indoor Worlds. And so that was late March into April. And so my coach was like, well, we can either take time off and not run outdoor if you feel like you're mentally just, that's coming off of a huge high. And like, it is kind of interesting coming back after a high like that. Like, I've been training for this for months. And then, it went really well. Obviously I medaled, but you come back and you're just kind of like, whoa, like it's almost like kind of depression almost. It's super strange.
Huh.
Yeah. It's an interesting athlete thing that I've been trying to be more verbal about, like with other people, because, I feel like high school kids too, they come off a state track and it's kind of like, oh, it's just like kind of you feel like this weird, it's, I don't know
Now
if it's like
what?
a mental fatigue. Yeah. It's like a now what feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about that because it has to be more than just a goal. And you kind of spelled that out earlier where it's more of a routine, because you don't always want to get up and do the hard thing.
Right,
It's just got to be an expectation of yourself.
Yep.
Would
Yep.
it be similar to like, a lot of women go through like postpartum?
It feels really similar.
Yeah.
It does. It's like, or like you're planning for your wedding. Like it's a super big day, super exciting, lots of emotions, and you come off of it and you're just like, whoa, like what just happened? Like it's kind of like the same feeling. But I've tried to be really verbal about that on social media because I think a lot of people don't talk about that, like in athletics. And I think with track, it's more specific, like it happens more often because it's very individual based. And so it's kind of like, okay, my identity was very much in that for like a long time. And then you come back and you're like, now what? Like,
So then you probably always feel like you're searching for the next thing to race.
Right.
Because you want that, not that high. Is that?
Yeah, there is like a high to it for sure.
Okay.
Like an emotional high. The nice thing is, as I think with maturity too, like my identity doesn't lie in my performances anymore. Whereas I feel like in college, it very much was like I had highs and lows all the time based off of performances. And now I'm like, if a race goes bad, I'm like, it goes bad. Like, I'm just going to learn from it and move on. Or like a super good experience like that, I come back and I'm like, I'm more than a track athlete. Like, I am a mom, I'm a teacher, like, I'm a woman of God. Like, I have, there's other things that are me that aren't just like my track performances.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I've grown a lot in terms of being like wrapped up in that identity of like, whoa, that's over, now what? So I can kind of bounce back quicker, but there's still this weird, like, you come down from it like, wow, I worked really hard for that for a long time and it's just over,
Yes.
you know?
Oh,
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a weird feeling, but luckily I was feeling really good. And so my coach and I decided like, okay, let's run some outdoor. And so I've been competing outdoor and I've raced really well. Haven't run a ton of races, but I've been running well. So we decided, okay, let's do nationals. And then I get my time off. So like August and September are kind of my downtime. Like, I don't really do a lot. I'll stay in shape and do some training here and there, but it's not like really focused
But
training.
what is not doing a lot to you?
Yeah.
It's probably a lot to us.
It's less like training. It's more like he lets me for like a solid couple weeks. He's like, just work out, do whatever you want. If you want to go for a walk, go for a walk. If you want to go to the gym, go to the gym.
Yeah.
Like, it's just kind of pick what you want to do.
Uh-huh.
And so I'll kind of like, like for a week, I'll just like go on walks with my dog. And then I'm like, all right, I'm starting to get over. I'm kind of bored from that now. I want to do something like, and maybe I want to start. I just like, it's all when my brain is ready to run again, then I'm like, okay, like I'll start running again a little bit and just not time anything. Like, I just feel like running to feel good. And so I try to separate the whole like, okay, I have to hit splits or whatever and just like kind of enjoy running again, like for a little bit, just without pressure.
Do you take days off?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, your body needs rest. We talked about a lot, but I didn't know if a full day of not doing
Yep.
a workout is in your regimen.
Yeah, he'll definitely structure those in there. Like, it's generally like a down day for me would be like a 20-minute jog, like a recovery run. And sometimes, honestly, I feel better after doing a 20-minute recovery run the next day than if I took the day completely off. Like, it's almost like it flushes stuff out. And like, it just kind of makes me feel better to sweat a little bit. And then it's just nothing strenuous. Like, I never like see how fast I just, some days is a 10-minute mile pace. Like, I just really feel like literally like almost walking.
Yeah.
And then some days I'm running like 7:40 pace. It just kind of depends. I just listen to my body, and that's kind of my recovery days. Or I'll just take a day completely off. If I'm just wiped, then I'll just take the day off too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So then you leave Thursday.
leave Thursday.
And when do you run? Friday?
I actually run in a prelim on Thursday, which was poor timing on my part, but hopefully I just need to get to the next round. So prelim of the 400 on Thursday, and then the final for the 400 on Friday, and then the 800 final on Saturday.
Wow.
So it's kind of a lot. I know the rounds are kind of hard, but
Where's that at?
Greensboro,
Oh,
North
okay.
Carolina. Yeah. And then some time off, and then next year is an Outdoor Worlds year.
Ooh.
So it'll
So you're gonna
be
do that.
late July 2024 in Sweden. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that'll
That's
be
cool.
the big prep. And then there's a couple teammates and I, we're actually eyeing the world record in the 4x4. And we
Okay.
really want to try to get that in indoor season. So there's a couple of us, we think we can hit it. So the 35 to 39 world record
Very
in the
cool.
4x4. So that would be something super fun because I don't get to do relays very much anymore. Like in high school, you always get to do relays.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're individual and semi-pro, you don't really get opportunities for relays unless it's worlds. So
Yeah.
yeah. that'll
And
be
all
fun.
these other ladies are training all these other places.
Yep,
And
different.
You just met
we
them
just
through.
we stay real. We're a tight knit family.
Are you?
We kind of like we all have each other on social media, and we just keep in contact. We share training stuff and pictures, and just keep in touch, text each other. Like we're just scattered everywhere. You
Yeah.
know, like California, North Dakota. There's 2 of us here in Nebraska. And then we're just spread out all the way on the East Coast, but we all keep
Fun.
in touch, and then we get to see each other at nationals. So it's kind of a fun like reunion, even
That's
though we're
exciting.
competing against each other sometimes, but we're still just all really good friends. So
Yeah.
Very cool.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, I mean, the small town school district that you work for is very lucky to have somebody like you around. And I think there's a lot of folks like that within a lot of these school districts. We talk about it with the one we're involved in, the amount of impact that you have on these kids, and on the community as a whole. We all can only hope that we've got folks like you involved. So that's great. It sounds like you're doing really awesome things. I'm sure the kids in the town and the area really appreciate it.
Yeah, means a lot. Because it is. I mean, there's days where teaching is it's a tough job. Like it's just. I feel like a lot of the ones of us that really, really care, we're very emotionally invested in the kids, and so it's a long day of you're a therapist, you're a teacher, you're a coach, you're a cheerleader, it's all the things, and but it's the best job in the world. It is, but it's amazing. I love it.
Good deal.
All right.
So if you guys don't have anything else, do you have anything else you want to dig into? Nope. To kind of close it out, with all of our guests, we have a gift. So in this box right here, from a company in O'Neill, Nebraska, called Handlebend. So they hand make all these products, and their products are all copper. So it's like copper mugs, copper straws, these different copper type things. And then obviously they hand build that packaging, which is pretty sweet.
That's so super cool.
So what you've got there is, I believe what they call their whiskey sippers, which obviously you can put anything in it you want. But
Tyler will be excited about that.
They're a pretty tall handmade copper glass with the Farm Focused logo embossed on there. So just something cool that we like to give as a thanks for coming.
Yeah.
So hopefully you guys can enjoy that. Yeah, the Handlebend boys up in O'Neill, handlebend.com. We've been working with them since the beginning.
Yeah.
They've just got awesome products.
Really, really cool stuff.
That's cool.
If anybody's looking for any kind of very unique gift or even just something cool for yourself, visit
You have to
visit
chisel
that
it
website
open
and
with
check 'em
that
out.
little crowbar there.
And again, small town Nebraska company. So
Yeah, and if you're driving through O'Neill, take a minute and stop in. They did a really neat thing on like the main drag there, where they took an old building that had been vacant for a number of years and worked together with a few other businesses. It's really cool.
yeah,
We keep saying we're going to go there. We need to.
yeah, we will. We'll be up there.
Okay.
It's
We'll
been a
record
long
with
time.
them.
Yeah, I had some friends at Wayne from O'Neill. So,
Really?
but it's probably been 12 years since I've been to O'Neill.
Yeah.
So 13
Yeah.
years.
Yep, cool
Well,
place.
thanks for coming.
Yeah, Christina, thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me. So much fun.
Yep, and folks, stay tuned. We're gonna do one more episode on some
Yeah.
nutrition type things. That's gonna be
Yeah.
interesting. I'm excited for that. So,
All
all right, cool.
Peace.
Well,
Later.
we'll close it out. Thanks.